Andrew Wilson and Muslim debater Daniel Hukikachu collide in Nashville, Tennessee this November 15th and 16th at DebateCon 6 on whether or not Christian or Islamic values are better for society. You don't want to miss it. Grab your tickets by clicking on this link right now so you don't miss out on this epic debate conference featuring that debate and many others. Hey everybody, tonight we are debating whether or not feminism helps or harms society, and we are starting right now with Mahleej's opening statement. Thank you for being with us. The floor is all yours.
Thanks, James, for having me. So I'm here taking the side that, how feminism has helped society. Depends on who you ask. But anyways, there's a few factors that go into it. A lot of things that we were not allowed to do before. So I'm going to start with expanding voting rights. So feminism secured women's right to vote, starting with the milestones like the 19th Amendment in the U.S., 1920, ensuring broader democratic participation and fair governance. Secondly, increased workforce participation. Feminist movements pushed for women's access to employment, raising U.S. female labor force participation from 33.9% in 1950 to 57.4% in 2020, boosting economic growth and family incomes. Improved legal protections. Feminism drove laws like Equal Pay Act 1963 and Title IX 1972, reducing workplace discrimination and ensuring equal education opportunities. Advanced reproductive rights. Advocacy for bodily autonomy led to access to contraceptions and safe abortions, empowering women to control family planning and career paths. Challenge gender norms. Feminism has somewhat dismantled stereotypes, promoting equality in roles at home and work, with 40% of U.S. households now having women as primary breadwinner. This was a survey done in 2013. And enhanced social awareness. Feminist campaigns have spotlighted issues like domestic violence and sexual harassment, leading to stronger laws. Support system such as Violence Against Women Act 1994. Just give me one quick second. I'm going to just pull up my second stream here. Slide here. And I can continue.
In the meantime, folks, if you haven't yet, hit that like button. We do appreciate your support of Modern Day Debate, as we are a neutral channel hosting debates on science, religion, and politics. I'm going to give Mahleej a chance where she can give me the thumbs up when she's ready. But in the meantime, I do want to plug, folks, if you didn't know, as you can see at the bottom right of your screen, you may not know that not only are those four people that you can see at the bottom of the screen going to be at DebateCon, but Jake, a.k.a. Jake from Rattlesnake TV, will also be there debating Planet Peterson on Christianity versus secular humanism, which provides a better society. We want to say, if you haven't yet, folks, get in on the early bird tickets. If you want to meet Jake, if you want to come hang out, say hello at DebateCon, get your tickets now. They're linked in the description. What are you waiting for? They're currently discounted. That's only temporary. That's because we're 3 months out. So I want to say, folks, do get your tickets now. Mahleej, we're ready for you if you are.
Okay, yeah, I'm ready. Yeah. So this is my last ending statement. Feminism continues to be a transformative force in society, building on its historical legacy to drive progress in gender equality and social justice. Feminist advocacy has significantly advanced workplace equality, narrowing wage gaps through pay transparency laws, and increasing women's representation in leadership and STEM fields. Tough challenges like persistent disparities remain. Legal reforms spurred by feminist movements have strengthened protections against gender-based violence and harassment, while also expanding parental leave and childcare support in many regions. Culturally, feminism has reshaped media to promote diverse, empowering portrayals of women and non-binary individuals, fostering greater inclusivity in film, literature, and gaming by emphasizing intersectionality. Feminism addresses the unique struggles of marginalized groups such as women of color and LGBTQ individuals, leading to more equitable policies in healthcare and economic opportunities. Global feminist solidarity amplifies efforts to secure education, political participation, and safety for women in restrictive environments. Despite ongoing backlash and uneven progress, feminism's impact in 2025 remains vital, fostering a more equitable and inclusive world. That's it. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much for that opening. We're going to kick it right over to Jake. Thrilled to have you here as well. Jake, the floor is all yours.
Thank you very much. It's great to be with you as well, James. I do appreciate it. I appreciate you giving me an opponent that's not a prostitute. I've been offered a lot of prostitute opponents recently, not interested in really debating them. So really, really great to be here. Thank you very much for coming out as well, Mahleej. So one thing that I've noticed from Mahleej's previous debates is that she'll often bring up the fact that she escaped from Pakistan and say, well, we're trying to bring about the conditions of Pakistan over here, as though this sort of somehow validates her worldview, but it's actually irrelevant in a way. Comparing to Pakistan to Canada, for example, where she lives, or to any Western nation is like comparing apples to oranges, or at least it is for now. If people like her continue voting for the policies that they support, then Canada will eventually become Pakistan, and that's not an exaggeration, and we'll get to why. So let's start with the culture that she left behind. So consanguineous marriages between close relatives such as first cousins are extremely common in Pakistan. Roughly 60 to 65% of marriages there fall into this category, one of the highest rates in the world. Amongst British Pakistanis, over half of the marriages are still cousin marriages, upheld by cultural traditions and shifts in law that allow them to continue. So the consequences are staggering. Children born from these unions face dramatically higher risks of autism, cerebral palsy, learning disabilities, and other neurological disorders. The Lancet estimates that around 15% of children from these marriages suffer developmental delays or cognitive issues. And beyond the health, there are also serious concerns about incest and other abuse, but we will move away from that. And you contrast this with Canada, for example. There's only about 1% of marriages are consanguineous, and those are mostly among immigrant communities from South Asian and Middle Eastern communities. So please spare us the comparisons to countries where most people are literally inbred. Now, I don't want to linger too much on consanguinity alone, because the larger issue is how destructive political ideologies, particularly feminism, threaten our cultural cohesion and stability of societies like ours. Feminism as a political force is not about equality. It's about dismantling patriarchal structures and replacing them with so-called egalitarian systems. But in reality, feminism has been catastrophic. One of the things I've noticed is that feminists never care about how men feel about their policies. They champion abortion, open borders, and cultural destruction, and when we object, they dismiss us as monsters who are hurting their feelings. Well, that doesn't really bother me, because I don't care about their feelings either. They're willing to use men to enforce their agenda, and so am I. Politics isn't about emotions, it's about managing people, resources, and power. In order to engage properly with politics, one must engage with a sober mind, acknowledging reality as it is and not how we feel like it should be. This way, we can pinpoint accurate descriptors and advocate for effective prescriptions. And the reality is that feminism has brought nothing but harm. Take abortion, for example. Since Roe v. Wade in the United States, over 60 million children have been aborted in the US. 60 million, that is not just a statistic. That's 60 million lives taken, largely because of feminist ideology. This is the greatest slaughter of human beings in modern history, and it's directly tied to feminist-driven policy. But abortion isn't the only issue. Feminism has also fueled open border policies, demanding mass immigration under the banner of compassion. These policies destabilize economies, increase crime, and dilute national identity. And yet, women consistently support them, swayed by emotional arguments rather than sober-minded calculation. They ignore the long-term costs, both economically and culturally, because their feelings have been elevated above reason. How much longer have I got there, James? Okay, cool. And let's not forget about the family. The nuclear family is the backbone of every single successful society. But feminism has worked tirelessly to dismantle it by redefining gender roles and portraying domestic life as a form of oppression. The result? Declining birth rates, broken homes, and children growing up in unstable environments. Here's the irony. Feminism claims to make women safer, but the safest place that a woman can be is within the nuclear family, with her husband and her biological children. By tearing down that institution, feminism has actually made women less safe and less fulfilled. At its core, feminism is a delusion. It pretends to empower women, but in reality, it's just an endless appeal to men to protect them. Feminists demand rights and protections they cannot enforce themselves. They are LARPing. But history doesn't tolerate this forever. Call it the rubber band effect. I'm sure you're familiar with the rubber band effect. You push something too far and it will snap back, taking away the rights that women once thought that they secured with their picket signs. That is reality. Look at the birth rates collapsing. The family unit is in ruins in many Western countries. Feminism's logic leads to a national suicide. By destroying reproduction rates, feminists invite replacement. Immigrants from the very countries that they fled, by immigrants from the very countries that they fled, and then using the democracy of the host nation, they vote for policies that dismantle the very democracy that they rely on. And the end result? Canada becomes Pakistan. Yes, it is really that absurd. That is the trajectory, and that is the entailment of people like I can't remember how to pronounce her name, but that is the entailment of her view. Now let's be clear. If women stopped voting tomorrow, not a single Liberal government would ever be elected again. The policies are wrecking our countries. Abortion, mass immigration, the dismantling of the family are overwhelmingly pushed through female voters. So, when my opponent talks about escaping Pakistan, remember this. She and others like her are voting to turn Canada and other Western countries into that very place that she fled. That is the entailment of her position, and it's the reality we face if feminism continues to dictate our politics. Feminism has not strengthened our society, it has fractured it, and has replaced stability with chaos, order with confusion, and reality with a delusion. If we want a future worth living, we must reject feminism, restore the nuclear family, and rebuild the traditions that actually sustain life and culture. That is the sober truth, and no emotional appeal can change it. With that, happy to get into our timed opening back and forths.
Thank you very much for that opening as well. And want to say, folks, as I had mentioned, if you had not known, DebateCon 6 is going to be in Nashville, Tennessee. Folks, if you are anywhere near Nashville, Tennessee, or hey, we are months away, flights are so cheap right now to get to Nashville. Even if you are so far away, you're like, oh, I'm in Canada, I'm in New York, I'm in Los Angeles. Very cheap flights right now. Grab your tickets. Right now they are discounted. It's only a limited time that we're giving this discount. Folks, one really quick housekeeping thing is a lot of people have asked, are you streaming them live? I want to do a quick housekeeping thing on this. We're actually not streaming all of them live. They all will be free and available on YouTube for the public as uploads, but not all of them will be streamed live. I'll explain more after the debate on why that is. But do come out. It's not just to see the debates. It's to get to meet people like Jake, get to meet people like Andrew Wilson, Apostate Prophet, Richard Carrier. Everybody's going to be there. It's going to be a great time. With that, we're going to kick it into the open dialogue. Thank you very much. The floor is all yours.
James, did you want to do timed back and forths, or did you want to just do opening dialogue?
That is true. Okay. One thing
I'm happy to do it, but if
we do try to do 1 minute back and forths. We're going to start out that way. We'll have Mahleej. I'm really trying my best. I'm not being facetious.
You can just call me Molly. It's easier.
Thank you, Molly.
Yeah,
Molly will go first.
Okay, so a lot was said about me, and I'm so happy that he hasn't called me a prostitute, but I can guarantee you by the end of this debate, he will be calling me one, which I find it very funny because any woman that is out there living her life is apparently a prostitute these days, right? If we're wearing short clothes, we're out on social media, we're just all prostitutes. Secondly, I think it's very important to go and research the person you're going to debate. If you're going to come here and accuse me that people like me shouldn't be here, I'm all against it. If you would have seen my YouTube, which you can't really know because it's all in Urdu, all I do is talk about how the bad system is in Pakistan, and I do not agree with those systems being here, starting with the inbreeding that goes on. It's a huge issue, and I have been one of the women from Pakistan that has been highlighting this. I escaped that system. You think I want to bring that here? You think I want women being stoned to death or the honor killings that I speak about? I speak about all that stuff. So I don't know where you got this, that I'm here to change this. I am all for selective immigrants like Canada used to be, right? Where you had a point system. I came as a refugee myself because we were leaving there as a religious, asylum that we took here because I'm an ex-Muslim. I left that Islam that you talk about and all those things. that
We'll
Islam
go over
speaks
to
about.
Jake. Sorry, I lost track of the timer there. Go ahead, Jake. We'll give you 2 minutes to be fair, because that's approximately 2 minutes. We'll give you 90 seconds, split the difference, and then we'll kick it back over to Mahleej.
Yeah, sweet. I mean, Mahleej, you can just nod your head with this as a yes or no. Do you engage in any sex work online? Do you sell your body online? Do you have an OnlyFans?
Yes, but you have to define selling online.
So you have an OnlyFans?
Yeah, I do. I teach Islam on OnlyFans.
Are you being serious? You actually have an OnlyFans where you teach Islam
Yeah,
on
I teach
OnlyFans?
Islam. I teach Islam on OnlyFans. Yes.
Yeah, are you trolling me, or are you actually being serious?
No, I'm being serious. I teach them how to go up and down 5 times a day. I do.
Okay, so do you do it with your clothes off?
No, I keep my clothes on.
Okay, well, I'm just going to disregard what you just said, because I don't even know if you're being serious or not right now. But I would call you a prostitute if you were engaging in prostitute behavior, and if you're not, so I don't know even really what you mean by that first part there. That I will be calling you a prostitute by the end of it. I'll call you a prostitute if you are a prostitute, but I don't think that you're a prostitute. I'm going to disregard what you just said, because I don't know if you're telling the truth or not. But in regards to the other things, you said that you don't advocate for those positions, but I didn't say that you advocate for those positions. I said that the logical entailment of your position is that Canada becomes Pakistan, because if women are given the power in politics to vote, then inevitably they're going to vote for liberal policies, which is mass immigration, which eventually leads to Canada being infiltrated with immigrants from South Asia and these other different places, where they're going to bring in Islamic ideas. This is happening in England. You see, in England, they've got this. Yep, go for it.
Molly.
Yeah, no, you're wrong on that, because so far all we've had is Justin Trudeau, who I don't like either. I didn't vote for the Liberals. Even our Conservatives, they're not Conservatives either. They're also Liberal. The only person that we actually have in Canada making sense, you would call her a right winger, is Danielle from Alberta, which is a woman that is actually coming out with policies that we shouldn't be just taking in any immigration or any refugees, no checks and balances. So you saying that me personally doing that? No, there's a lot of people like me, like women like me, that don't want that here. You see that also happening in the UK. A lot of women are standing against it. It was the men that pushed it first. This whole immigration thing, this whole refugee thing was pushed by men that went and created wars in other countries. And now we have to take in all those people as refugees. You can take it Afghanistan, Iraq, Syria, all those places. It wasn't the women that started those chaotic wars. And now you have to take refugees and all those people, asylum seekers, to your countries. It was all decided by men, So you can't always put it like, oh, women only vote for Labor and only, all liberal parties and stuff. No, it's still controlled by men, majority of them. So in Canada, if I was to speak personally, it's the men that are messing up this country, not the women.
Yeah, I mean, you can say that, but that actually doesn't make any sense, because if all women were restricted tomorrow and women couldn't vote tomorrow, we would not have any Justin Trudeaus. We wouldn't have your Labor parties getting elected. The reason why these parties get elected in those countries is because they have a massive amount of female voters. If you took away the female vote tomorrow, then politics would go significantly more right, more traditional, and more conservative. So the fact that you have all of these women voting and voting on emotion and voting with empathy and sympathy means that you actually get all of these open border policies. And when you have all of these open border policies, you have the entire Arabic world moving into England, for example, and England now has Muslim mayors, and England has various different politicians that are Muslim, and it's going to become a Muslim country eventually. So all of the women who are voting have voted in populations that will eventually change the demographics of the country, vote out the democracy, and get rid of the feminism that you guys fought for. So it's actually a self-destructive paradox that you exist within.
I think it's highly unfair for you to just blame it all on women. If we go in the history, Justin Trudeau's father, were that many women voting
Castro?
at that time? No, but he still won. It was all men voting for him. He started the whole immigration, and all this stuff was started by a man. You keep putting this out there. I know many women that are against it, especially the women coming from these countries. I know you keep saying that, but the women that are escaping Afghanistan, Iran, Pakistan, they don't want that stuff here. And they come here and they talk openly about it, that what you're doing, if you're only going to stick to the immigration, asylum seekers and stuff, they're not on the same page. I've been speaking on this issue for a long, long, long time. It's the men that don't listen. It's still, like I said, we're still under men's control. In England, tell me one leader that was woman that was pushing this. It's all men.
Okay,
all
so
men,
what?
right?
Yeah, so what you're saying is that ultimately men have somewhat of a monopoly on power at the end of the day. So eventually it's always going to be men who are making these decisions because we have a monopoly on power.
No, I'm saying that it's not only women. There's also men doing that too. So you can't just be like, oh, it's because
I didn't
feminism
say that it was
is
only
a
women.
problem.
That's
And
not
it's
what I
not
said.
because, no, but it's not a feminism problem that you're having asylum seekers here. You know, there's like a lot of issues along with it. First of all, we shouldn't be going and bombing other people's countries.
All right,
Then
let
you're
me
not gonna
respond to
need
the
those,
first point
right?
before, because you've been talking for a while now.
We're gonna cut it into a minute and a half responses. Go ahead, Jake. We'll give you a minute and a half as well.
Yep. So when you look at the 19th Amendment in America, for example, and when you look at the different suffrage movements around the world, these are feminist movements. These are movements for female empowerment and for dismantling patriarchal systems. So when you have women voting en masse, it's not saying that no men vote Liberal. That's not what I said. And basic logic when you're having a conversation, normally you want to sort of you want to be able to understand really basic logic, which is that if I speak in a monolith, I'm not saying that there are no exceptions to the rule. So that's a good place to start. So yes, there are also men who vote Liberal, but by and large, it's women who vote Liberal and who vote in these liberal policies. And if women were to stop voting tomorrow, then all of these immigrants would stop coming in because men would create much more conservative systems.
Okay, well, not necessarily. Even if we went and voted conservative in Canada, they're still going to have asylum seekers. They're still going to take refugees. They're still going to bring all that stuff in here. So this argument that women are only voting and liberal parties are only going to do that, no, there is a bigger picture of the refugees and asylum seekers coming here than just women voting liberal. Why we vote liberal is because in the past we've seen what the conservative governments can do, right? Like, for example, we went back on the abortion rights, right? So it all depends, because as soon as the conservatives come, first of all, they bring religion into it. As soon as you bring religion, that takes away my human rights as a woman. First thing that does, whether it is Islam, whether it is like the Christian right, whether it is Orthodox Jews, everybody targets on women first, you know, and our human rights go out of the window. So that's why women vote liberal.
Well, first of all, I mean, you can't get rid of women. You can't get rid of religion out of politics. That just fundamentally doesn't make any sense. That's not something that's actually possible to do. And second of all, I'd like to actually know what your prescription is to fix this problem in terms of the birth rate crisis and in terms of the demographic collapse that's happening in Western countries and the fact that they have to bring in swaths of Arabs and South Asians and everything from the third world. What actually is your solution to that?
Well, it depends what solution you want, right? Do you want a moral solution or you just want a solution? If you think birth rates are declining, then there's a lot of ways to have kids. You know, you can be making kids in a baby factory. I mean, like, you can't just extinct. You can have surrogacy. You can have women that just want to have kids. You need to give women, what would I say? Because you can't work and have kids and all that. So we always have to create a safe environment. And what is that word? We have to give some kind of incentive to women to have kids, right? You're not going to be working, then taking care of kids, and then, you know, doing all the household work and all that stuff. You can't do it. So if you are having kids, then okay, yeah, you're going to get $2,000 for per child for this amount of time. You can stay home, look after your child. You got to give some kind of incentive, right? There's no incentive for women to have kids. But like I said, you're not going to just die if you think your civilization is just going to extinct. There's a lot of women that want to have kids. Pay them the money, and your race isn't going to die. There's a lot of ways to do that.
Okay. So baby factories, first of all, we can create some sort of like forced baby factories. That sounds very feminist. And you also said that they can't just work and have their children. They can't just work and have children. Yeah, no shit. That's what we're saying. They can't be in the workforce and being expected to be mothers at the same time. So if you have this worldview where you want women to be in the workforce and women to be, you know, closing the pay gap, whatever that is, then you actually can't solve the problem. So you haven't given any sort of accurate solutions to this problem whatsoever. You basically just said a bunch of things that were kind of incoherent, if I'm totally honest. You didn't give any actual prescriptions, or you didn't give any accurate solutions to this whatsoever. And also, in terms of these incentives that you're talking about, They exist everywhere. Go look at the Nordic countries. Look at the Scandinavian countries. They have all different kinds of incentives. Look at what they're doing in Japan and South Korea and places like this. They don't work. So tell me, what is your actual solution?
Well, see, you're asking me because I don't see it as a problem. And you will ask this to a lot of women, they don't really think the birth rate is declining a huge problem, right? It's a men's problem that the birth rate is declining. So you guys need that solution, right? So for me, it's not a problem. And I am a single mother. I work, I take care of my child, I do everything. It ain't easy, but women are doing it, right? And that's what I'm saying. Even if you're giving them incentives, women are like, no, we don't want to have kids because we have learned from the past that most of the responsibility of the child, physical, mental, everything just lands on us. And, it's too much work and we just don't want to do all that work, right? So the problem is with you guys. Like I told you, I gave you that option. You can go and make babies in a factory, right? Most of the guys are having babies and leaving them anyways, So, okay, so I know that you have a problem with this whole birth rate and stuff. Now, and you don't want women to have abortions. So let me just give you a scenario. A woman chooses to keep that child, right? But the man is not with her. Now she's a single mother, right? You're going to come and criticize her still now because she's a single mother, but she chose to keep that kid. Do you still think she did the right decision, or she's going to be frowned upon now because she's a single mother?
Yeah, I'm happy to get into that just after we address what you just said about the fact that you don't think that the declining birth rates are a problem, because essentially what you've just said is you don't care about the human race going extinct. You don't care about the very culture that you moved to in Canada, about Canadians actually eventually getting bred out of existence. The very culture that you've come to and you've begged them to be a part of their system and you've begged them to look after you escaped Pakistan. Now, Pakistan is going to come into Canada, is going to replace your demographics. The birth rates don't really matter to you. It's a man's problem. But the Pakistanis are going to come in and they're going to actually enslave your grandchildren. If your daughter has children, her children are going to live in Pakistan, in Canadistan, whatever you want to call it. So how is that not your problem?
If you're talking about Pakistan and them coming and replacing, I don't think that is a possibility. But like I gave you an example, you don't have to go out of extinction. If worse comes to worse, you guys can have baby factories. There's tons of women. Believe me, there's tons of women out there that want to have kids. Tons of them. You guys can mass produce babies. Believe me. Okay. I'm telling you, if you put out an ad tomorrow, okay, that we want to just reproduce white genes, we're looking for blonde women with blue eyes, and we're going to give you each kid that you pop out 10 grand. You're not going to get extinct. Human race is not extincting because we can see the population in China, India, Pakistan, Africa. Human race ain't going nowhere. No, not for a while. It's not, right? So I don't know why you're so worried about it. I think the population has just been increasing and increasing and increasing. So I don't know how you say that human race is going extinct. And again, we are not coming here and taking over. My child is a Canadian. She doesn't even know anything about Pakistan. She doesn't know anything about the culture. She doesn't know anything about the religion. And I'm not here trying to say, oh, I'm going to replace you. No, you have options. You guys can go and do other things. You can save yourself.
Okay, so all you have to do is take a rudimentary look at the data around the world and all of the different Western countries in Australia, America, Canada, United Kingdom, all of Western Europe, these places. Birth rates plummeting, okay? Birth rates are plummeting in these different places, and also in Eastern Asian countries, in China, like you just mentioned as well, birth rates are plummeting, Japan, South Korea. But the places that are getting more and more people is Pakistan, or Pakistan, as you say, or India, or Africa, or the Middle East, these different places. They're getting more and more people because they breed a lot. So if you are having a demographic crisis in the Western nations, which is happening, the native Western populations are having a demographic crisis, the way in which they're remedying that because of this democracy that you love so much, because they only want short-term fixes for long-term solutions, they're bringing in lots of immigrants. Justin Trudeau is the worst culprit for this, maybe in the entire world, along with the British. They're bringing in all of these different immigrants, and these immigrants are from places that don't exactly hold your feminist values. So I still actually don't know what your solution to this is. You might say, yeah, it's not my problem, it's a man's problem. Well, it's going to be your problem because, the Canada is not going to go completely extinct, but the Canadian population and the Canadian ideals as you know them will go extinct. That's going to happen. So is your solution, from what I've heard, your solution is A, baby factories, or B, become Pakistan and it's not my problem. What's your solution? I'd love to know.
Oh, you're just putting words in my mouth that I want everybody to become Pakistan. I have no roots from Pakistan. I am the biggest critic of Pakistan and the religion up there. So I don't even know where you're getting all that from. Like I said, you mentioned Pakistan, you mentioned India. Even if you go in Pakistan, it's declining. The birth rate everywhere where women are getting educated, the birth rate has declined. Besides from Africa, where women are not educated and they still suffer. So I know you're talking about men breeding. So now in Islam, you can have 4 wives. So now 4 wives plus 4 kids, of course they're going to outbreed you. That is how it is. What needs to be happening that we don't want that system in Canada. Why do we have 4 wives in Canada and them breeding? So it's not my fault that the government is not keeping checks and balances. They should be doing that. And it wasn't just Justin Trudeau. This whole thing was started by his father long time ago. Okay. And when Britishers also brought in all these immigrants with them, it was for their own benefit. Remember, they were ruling over the Indians for the longest time, right? So they brought them as their slaves at that time, but they didn't think that these immigrants are actually going to get education and they're actually going to contribute into the society. A lot of immigrants that were brought into Canada and US is full of immigrants, like all over the place. So you can't say that only Pakistanis, even some Pakistanis have contributed too. A lot of Indians in US you see have good jobs and they have contributed a lot towards society. So you can't just paint all that over and over. You keep saying that I want to make this Pakistan. If I wanted to make this Pakistan, I would have stayed there. I enjoy the country this is, and I will fight till my last breath to keep it the way it is.
Okay, India was a good colony. That is true. But first of all, 3.6 births per woman is the Pakistani birth rate. So it's like at least double most of the Western countries. Yes, it is going down, but it is still 3.6. But I want to just highlight for everybody, I want to give a brief summary of what has just been said here. She is trying to argue the case that feminism does good for society. I'm trying to argue the case that feminism does bad for society. I am saying that we are having a major demographic problem and that I actually care about the ideals of the country that I live in, Australia, and plus of the other Western countries. These are countries that come from a history of different Greek philosophy and art and Roman governance and law and Christian ethics and morality. These are great societies. They're not like other places, okay? They're not like other places. I would like to keep these societies great. She has said the demographic collapse, the birth rate problem is not a problem, okay? I'm saying that that is a problem. She is saying that the solution to the problem is baby factories, or it's just like, we'll try and throw some government money at it. Doesn't work, by the way, and I'm being charitable here. Or she's saying, well, eventually it just sort of becomes Pakistan and doesn't really matter because it's not my problem. That's essentially what she's saying. She's essentially a nihilist. She's saying that she doesn't care about these problems. She doesn't care about the eventual conclusion of these problems. She doesn't care about the logical conclusion of these problems. I'm saying that I do. So audience, please tell me, I would love to know, what is feminism, this ideology here, is that harmful for society or is that good for society? Because for me, it sounds like she's saying that she doesn't care if society goes extinct.
No, I never said that the society goes extinct. I like the system that I live in. I came here and I will defend it. Okay. And stop saying that I want to turn it into Pakistan because I don't want to turn it into Pakistan. I've said it over and over again. I don't know, maybe it doesn't process in your brain. You have to see, the thing is, the easiest thing men can do, they can't poop. Feminism. Oh, I couldn't eat. Feminism. Everything is a problem of feminism. The birth rate's not only declining because of feminism. There's a lot of factors that go into the declining birth rate. Maybe men should do a little better, right? But men don't want to change. Men don't want to change anything about themselves. They just want to blame women because they see women having some human rights. How dare we have human rights now, right? So I'm not saying that I don't care your thing is going to die or you're going to extinct. Human species are not going anywhere for a while, okay? If you're talking about the whole world. And I already gave you a solution. Yeah, it depends. If you want that whole family structure and all that, you have to ask yourself the question, why the women are not having kids? It's not only because of feminism, it's because of you men not stepping up to the plate. And we've experienced it in the past, and we don't want to go through that. Even if you ask the older women from back in the days, and they will tell you They will tell you, don't have kids. Don't ruin your lives. Focus on your future. Why do these older women from back in the days where you say that women were very happy give us these advices? So you guys have to step up the plate. Don't blame everything on feminism.
You are absolutely right. I could not agree with you more. All of these women are giving advice to these younger women to not have kids. Thank you very much. I do appreciate you substantiating my point of view there, because we don't have any matrons in society. We don't have any women with the wisdom and the discernment to tell younger women, listen, I know that you're pretty right now. You have some nice boobs. You have a nice bum. Okay. But you can't use that sexual prowess to just get everything you want, all of your material expedient desires. You can't use it for that. You actually have to use it in pursuit of something greater. We don't have those matrons in society anymore. What we now have is a bunch of women that were the product of the sexual revolution telling women, do what you want all the time with no consequences. Don't worry about a family. Don't worry about a legacy, anything like that. Now, I also never said, Mahleej, that it was just feminism. But what we are arguing about is feminism. If we were arguing about if men need to step up, then we could have that conversation. But what we're arguing about is, in fact, feminism. So feminism is the idea of dismantling patriarchal structures. All of the most famous feminists throughout history have always said that the family is inherently oppressive in and of itself. And in order for women to be properly liberated, they need to be liberated from the shackles of their loving family, from the shackles of their adoring children and their providing husbands. Okay, that's what feminism has always been about. So that is destroying the nuclear family in one way. Now, there are other things in terms of the birth rates. You could say that urbanization is another big contributor. The fact that we're living in smaller places, life is becoming a little bit more expensive. Sure, but that's not what we're arguing. What we're arguing about is if feminism is harmful or if it's doing good. Now, your ultimate argument here is essentially can be summarized in 3 words. I don't care. That's ultimately what your argument is. I don't care. Because all of these problems that are happening, you're saying, I don't care. I would rather that women are having the dopamine receptors in their brain firing rather than there being any sort of continuity of civilization. That's essentially your argument.
No, that's not my argument. My argument, and it's not like I don't care. I care. I care for human beings. And as a human being and as a woman, I want the same rights that a man has. And you don't want that, right? If a woman chooses, feminism is all about choice. If a woman chooses to have kids and have a family, nobody is stopping her from doing it. But there are consequences to that, right? And we've seen in the past what happens. Our grandmothers, our mothers, they raised a bunch of kids. I still know the system that you want. I have seen it in Pakistan. Women are still suffering. They can't get a divorce. They can't. So they're stuck in abusive marriages. They're stuck in such bad marriages and they can't get out. And that's exactly how we were here too. So like I said, you keep blaming the birth rates on feminism, but it's not that. It's the women. I'm not the only one saying this. It's the women that don't care. You keep telling about what is it, South Korea, that the women have started this, the new movement where they're like, we don't want to have your kids. We don't want to get married. You want to extinct, you can extinct. So it's basically all women saying that we don't care. You want to reproduce, go reproduce, right? But we're not going to reproduce anymore because we saw what we got from reproducing. The absent fathers, the violence against women, you couldn't get a divorce, like all these things. So there is a little, a lot of factors to it, but you just keep coming to one point over and over again.
I love this. I love this. It's amazing, honestly. So you're saying that, so even if this is the 3B movement that you're talking about in South Korea. It's a social movement. It's not as big as people make it out to be. But even if that is the case, you are telling me that it's a bunch of women who have gotten together and said, I got all this freedom. I'm going to stop having children. Okay. We're just going to stop having children because we got all this freedom. So, I mean, talk about an argument to put the shackles on a little bit more. Talk about an argument to tighten the reins a little bit. That's a great argument to tighten the reins a little bit. And I'm actually not finished. So we'll keep going. But this argument about the 3B movement in South Korea, that you're just making my point that women make terrible decisions. What were the other arguments you said? I actually forgot because I was so entertained by that one. What were the other things that you said there? I need to address them.
Hang on. For you, it's a bad decision. For men, it's a problem. For women, they think it's not.
I think he's asking what other points, because he'd like to address some of the other ones that he had forgotten, which you had said.
Yeah, I forgot one point also that he was talking about. So in Jake's mind, a woman is only
no,
sexual.
hold on. I think he's saying
Right.
that, like, he's asking what was, so basically, like, he gave you approximately like 90 seconds. And so he's trying to remember.
I had basically just said that, this is women are choosing now that we don't want to have kids because we've seen what happens, when you're our grandparents or our grandmothers, we saw what happened. So they're just choosing not to have kids anymore because we don't want to put up with that.
Gotcha.
And
Yeah,
like
sure.
I
I mean,
said,
yeah.
that might not be a big movement yet,
Okay.
but believe
I
me,
want to give
it's going
Jake
to
the
be
remainder of his 90
Look,
seconds.
Yeah, look, I have no doubt that the propaganda is going to keep on spreading. I mean, you saw what happened. I mean, you had great thriving civilizations where the nuclear families were all intact and where great civilizations were built, the whole entire Western world. In fact, this Western world that you've migrated to, and you have come in begging them to protect you from Pakistan. You've come into this country and you've said, you know what? We don't want to have kids because we've seen what's happened. Well, what has happened? What has happened is this amazing society, this once amazing society that you have now come and migrated to, and you're begging them to protect you. That's what happened. But if you want to dismantle it, then sure, talk about being ungrateful. But I mean, there's no doubt in my mind that women will do this if given the decisions, but also it just goes to show that they're kind of malleable at the end of the day. Women are very impressionable. So if they're going to be given all this feminist propaganda, which is exactly what you're talking about here, about how it's bad to have a family and about how your husband's just going to beat you up and leave you chained to the oven, this was never the case, ever. So they're just eating up a whole entire propaganda narrative that is just not the case. The most safe place that a woman can be is in a nuclear family environment.
Ramali?
60% of cases where a woman is found dead is either her husband, her father, or her brother. So it's only 40% of strange men that we have to need protection from. And you keep saying, protect me from this and that. The asylum program, the refugee program that Canada offered me, I came here. And since I came here, I have contributed into the system. I pay taxes, which pays the police, who protect me. I don't need a man to protect me here because there's a lot of times men can protect themselves. They have to also call police, right? That comes to protect them. So I don't know why you keep saying that I come here and I beg. I love Canada. I love the opportunity that they gave me, and I'll forever be grateful. But for you to keep pushing that on my face, trying to get people all this propaganda, like you say. And we're very impressionable. Yes, because women can't think for themselves. We have to be told, right? Our personal experiences, our friends' experiences, all this doesn't matter. For you to say the safest place for a woman to be is at home, maybe you should see the stats. 60% of men that have killed their wives. We are actually not safer at home, right? So you're saying like we weren't tied up to the home and to the kitchen, to all that. That's what you want. You want us at home. You don't want us working. You want us at home, raising kids, cooking food. That's what you want. And women are saying we don't want to do that. If that's what you want, we don't want to do it. And it's not only me saying this, actually. If you were to put it that way, my country is still having babies. It's the white women and other women in other countries that are like, no, we're not going to do it. Same thing. Even in blacks, they don't want to have kids. They were having kids more, but even their reproduction has gone down. Asians, their reproduction has gone down. I told you, wherever women get educated, the reproduction goes down.
Yes, you're exactly right. Wherever women get educated, the reproduction goes down. Therefore, we should be incentivizing women to not go into higher education and to focus on family. So therefore, the reproduction won't go down. And eventually this culture that you've come on your hands and knees begging to be a part of won't go extinct and become Pakistan, which is the entailment of your worldview. Thank you very much for that. I appreciate it. Also, researchers have consistently shown over the years that rates of violence in cohabiting compared with marital relationships is always much higher. So marital relationships is always much lower in terms of the abuse statistics. So the safest place that a woman can be is not in a single mother household. It's not in a boss babe single life coming home from work at 11 p.m. walking through the city. It is with a husband and her biological children. That's the safest place that a woman can be. But I just don't understand how you even get past this. You are arguing for women to be in higher education and to be in the workforce. You just admitted that everywhere you go where women are in higher education, birth rates go down. birth rates go down, population get replaced. Population get replaced, Pakistan. Please square that circle for me.
First of all, there's maybe like, I don't even know, maybe I have to check how many Pakistanis have come in Canada. If anything, it would be taken over by Indians or Chinese before Pakistanis take over. So again, you saying that I want to turn this place into Pakistan, again, no, you want to turn it into Pakistan because the men in Pakistan say the same thing that you're saying. Women should not get educated because God forbid, women gets educated, she's going to know about her body. She's going to know about her rights. They don't want that. They want women in the kitchen having babies. That's what they do. Our right wingers in Pakistan, the Islamists, they give us examples of you guys, the right wingers, because you guys are on this aligned on the same page. And I'm not going to turn Canada into that, but some right wingers here that are very conservative want women to go backwards like we were in Pakistan. I don't care if it's Pakistanis, if it's you, or if it's another Asian that wants this. Yes, education is very important. You know why? Because when you get married at 25 and 10 years later, that man finds somebody younger and leaves you, guess where you are? Guess where you're left with nothing, with the kids, with no education, and God forbid you go on OnlyFans and do something, then you're also labeled as a single mother and a prostitute. No one's going to question that man, right? So you need that education to lie upon so you can support your own self.
I completely agree. Men should not just be able to leave women. Men should have a responsibility. And this is the way that it used to be back when men could go to prison for leaving their children and leaving their family and not taking care of them. But this also meant that women were more dependent on their husbands. So this actually, I completely agree with you, but I think that we just view this in a different lens completely. And also, I think we established at the start of this that Pakistanis are majority inbred. So I don't want to be compared with a country that is majority inbred, okay? All sorts of different problems going on there. I don't want women to wear burqas. I don't want to stone a woman to death if she gets R-worded, okay? I don't want any of these things to happen. So please, Pakistan, inbred, stoning Fatima to death, different to what we want over here. So it's like apples and oranges.
See, again, I am totally against the inbreeding, but let's not even talk about it because I can talk about the Latter-day Saints and then other Christian people that were found here inbreeding in their own kids. You know, what is that here? Those people, that's Amish people. You should see how many inbreeding goes on in there. Let's not talk about the southern states in US, so much inbreeding goes on there, which I'm totally against, and from Pakistan too, right? I'm not comparing you as I'm talking about your ideologies and what you want to restrict women of. They don't want women education, and that's why a huge number of women don't get educated in Pakistan, and I'm totally against it. You know why? Because women need to support themselves. I already gave you that example. You know, that men do leave, they walk out, and they get nothing in return. So it is very important for a woman to have at least decent education so she can support herself if that scenario arises. But that's what the whole thing is. The feminism that I believe in gives you the choice. If you want to get married, you can get married. However, Jake earlier said that when you're 25 and your boobs are perked up, that's the only value us women have. And we were like, more sexual, so we better use it at that time, because God forbid we expire after 25 or 30 and we're single. No man wants us then, because all these 40-year-old men want 18 and 20-year-olds, right? Yeah, in Pakistan they want 9-year-olds, by the way, so which I'm totally against.
Another reason to not compare us to Pakistan and to compare
but you don't want women to go to
religion.
School, right? You don't want women to go to school.
When did I say I don't want women to go to school?
You say you don't want women having higher education because it's a problem.
No, I said that I think that women should be disincentivized from going into higher education, but you just conflated and said that I don't want women to go to school. I think.
But why do you not want them in higher education?
Women always were educated in America, for example. Women always were educated, and in many studies and statistics, it shows that women were more educated than men. They had better high school education rates than men, so that's just a delusion. That never happened. This is not Pakistan. No one's trying to marry a 9-year-old. That doesn't happen over here. So anyways, but in terms of the voting though, I actually want you to tell me why your system is better, because in my system, there would be age restrictions on voting. There would be civics tests with voting. You would have to be a net contributor to society and not just taking from society. And you would have to be actually having skin in the game in terms of property, for example. If you want to vote on property matters, then you should own property. So tell me why your system of universal suffrage is actually better than my system.
Well, no, I actually agree on a lot of things with you. However, I think everybody at, there should be an age restriction. Maybe you're 18. I think that's just perfect the way it is. Property we're talking about is, so more single women own property now than men. So we should get a right to vote. I myself own a property, and I think it's important for me to vote because I'm a part of the system. I got to figure out if my roads are done, if my sewer is working or not. So I have to be part of that voting system. However, I've also heard these men, in US, in Canada, saying that women shouldn't vote at all. I totally disagree with that. We are hugely contributing into the economy, and we should have our right to vote.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't believe in a gendered voting system. I believe that you have to have skin in the game. So you have to, I think the ideal would be one family, one vote. So if you have a family, the man votes because the man is the head of the household. But then there are other constrictions as well. And this is generally speaking in the US, for example, they've got the different states. The different states had different voting laws. But you had things like if you had property, if you're a property owner, you could be able to vote, etc. But I want you to actually tell me what your voting system, because it sounds like you're in favor of universal suffrage. So why is your system better?
What do you mean my system? I'm happy with the Canadian system the way it is. I don't want anything to be changed here.
I know that, and I'm saying why is it better?
Voting age is 18, and that's it. I think it's already working perfectly. Yeah, and that's a democratic way. I'm all for it. I don't want to change it. You want to change it. You want to say, oh, men is the head of the household. A lot of times they're not. They're not even making that much money. Women are now making a lot of money. A lot of women are the breadwinners. They should make the decision. Anybody that is spending more money and contributing towards a society, I think should be then. So if a woman is making more than the man, then she should be the one going and voting.
Okay. So I'm going to ask the question again. I'm saying why, because I hope you understand that your system in terms of universal suffrage, the system that you support in the Canadian system, for example, that's been around for all of 5 minutes. That's very new, actually. So tell me, why is your system better than my system?
I don't know. What are you talking about? My system? Canadian system is different than Australian system?
The system that you just advocated for.
Yeah, it's not different. Like you
so
said,
want
that
universal suffrage.
No, you wanted the voting system. Only the man can vote, and certain people should be able to vote. Certain people that are, I guess, not contributing to the society shouldn't be able to vote and stuff. Whereas I say it should be the age restriction. Yes, you can, in a way where I would put a stop to it. If you're a newcomer here and you don't know anything about the government and stuff, I don't think you should be able to vote, which I'm against it. But if you're a Canadian citizen and you've been here contributing to the society, even if you are on welfare, you should have a say.
Okay. So why is yours better than mine is the question.
I don't know. Tell me, what is your system?
I just told you that there would be all different kinds of restrictions on voting. I don't believe in universal suffrage, that somebody turns 18, some retard who goes for sushi with their friends and who has blue hair and who eats tofu. I don't understand why these people have to be voting at 18 years old when they're talking about dismantling the patriarchy and overthrowing capitalism with their blue-haired Marxist friends in their university halls. I don't understand why those people vote. That doesn't make any sense to me. So age, civics tests, being a net contributor, property matters, and then you've also got family as well. That could be another one where you have one vote, one family. People who actually have skin in the game.
That system before?
Yeah, you did have a lot of those systems.
How did that work out?
It was fantastic.
According to who?
I mean, so back just for example, you go back into the history of different Western countries, and by the way, there was no universal suffrage really until the 1920s for a lot of these countries, but there wasn't too much difference between men and women. In the US, it was maybe a little bit more, but they had different states who came in at different times. But in older times in the United States, you had more intact nuclear families, you had higher birth rates, and these are just two of the key markers in terms of a healthy society. Intact nuclear families and intact birth rates where your society is actually propagating. Society used to be a lot better.
That's according to you, right? There's no data.
Well,
that
it's
is
not
going
according to
society
Alfred
was-
over here. It's according to me because I'm in the debate. Yes.
Okay, yes, according to you. For you, families, the nuclear family that you call it, a lot of women were not happy in those families. I don't know what you're talking about. Like
Prove it.
even in US.
Prove it.
Well, you can't because there was no way to prove it. You
I
prove
can.
it to me that they were happier. You prove
Yeah,
it
sure.
to me with data that they were happier. The women were happier.
Sure. Okay. Women are more heavily medicated today than they ever have been. And generally speaking, the most heavily medicated women are women who are 30s, 40s, 50s with no family, no husband.
Men are also committing more suicides. There's a lot of
That's not what we're talking
factors
about.
that depend on medication. Before, we didn't even have a lot of symptoms that women have, and even in general, and men have. We didn't even diagnose those back in the days, right? Now we actually have a diagnosis. Women also go through a lot of stress. Women also go through PTSD. We go through a lot of emotions, right? So it's not only that we're just getting heavily, it's not only to the feminists. We are working more. It's getting expensive. There's inflation. There's a lot of contributions to that. Men are also committing a lot more suicides. Why are men dropping dead? Especially the single ones, right?
I love it. You're like an advocate for my positions.
Tell me, why is that? Why is feminism to blame for that? You can't give me a data that says the women back in the 50s or 20s, 1920s were way happier than they are now. Just because they weren't taking medication. You know what they were doing? They were probably sniffing coke. You didn't even know. They were heavily drinking. That's what they were smoking cigarettes, remember? Everywhere. So
I know, I get it. I get it. No, look, I understand you've watched Thelma and Louise. I get it. You've watched some of the Thelma and Louise movies, and this is where you get your sort of idea of what it looked like back then.
Actually, I don't even know what that is. Actually, I don't even know what that show is.
I get it. You've watched the movies, and this is where you got this from. But yeah, so you just said that men are killing themselves at a much higher rate. Well, I would actually argue that one of the things that creates this sort of ideation in men is having a lack of meaning and having a lack of purpose in life. And generally speaking, where men are going to get meaning and purpose from is from, and it might sound funny to you, I'm not sure why it's funny to you, but where men are going to get meaning and purpose from is having a family and having people to provide for and having people to actually support. So the lack of the nuclear family, I would actually say, and the lack of purpose and the lack of actual sort of vision that a man can have for his life and the lack of structure that we have these days actually is a contributor to that. And men are much more lonely these days, I would say. So there's that. And also, it's just a fact that women are much more heavily medicated these days. I mean, they're the most medicated people in the world, these women who are childless. So like, why is that?
I don't know. There's a lot of contributions to that. I don't know. You'll have to show me the data. I know a lot of women that don't have kids and have kids, and they're not on any kind of medication. Like I said, we do have a lot of hormone issues. You know, you don't know what's going on in somebody's body or whatever is going on. Secondly, like again, I'm going to tell you, a lot of these things people had before too, but they were not diagnosed. There was no diagnosis. There was no medication for it. So now that's why you see it, more people having it, right? Same, like I'm going to say the same thing again for the men. They're killing. And yes, men are lonely. I was laughing because you're like, men need a purpose. Do you know how many men out there are still going around? They don't want purpose. They're all judging women. Oh, you do this. Oh, we don't want this. So, you know, beggars can't be choosers. Women choose, and you get, if you want that purpose, then act like it, right? Women can't find good partners because men don't want to contribute anymore. They want to be the females. All the men I come across, they want to be the females.
This is a point that we can actually chew on.
You can blame this on men because they're not finding purpose. Like, what should we do?
Look, this is actually something that we could come to some sort of a mild agreement with. I think that we can actually have something to nibble on here, okay? You and I, together at a nice restaurant, okay? Listen, so you're saying that all of these societal contributors, all of these different factors mean that women would love to find a good partner and they would love to be provided for and they would love to be protected, but these factors here, well, women are sort of pulling away. But then you're saying men don't want this. They don't want the purpose, right? All of these societal contributions and these societal factors here, they're all there. But the reason why men aren't leaning in is because, well, they don't want it. But women would love to have it. But it's the societal factors. Don't you think men would also like to have this if women weren't trading around like hoes on the internet all day and if they were actually marriage material? Don't you think that men would also lean into it if those societal factors were different?
I think men have a double standard, right? Men have double standards. They want all these hoes online, because who makes them hoes? First of all, it's all the men watching them. It's not the women going around watching them. They want all these hoes, but they want them only for one night stand, right? They only want to, bang them and just move away and walk away. And then they're going to look for and define a hoe. Because I don't know. I see some women that posted in a dress and men are calling her a prostitute and attention seeker and this and that. So if you're going to go that way, then yes, women are going to, take back. You have to understand, like I had this guy the other day and he was like, women have too many standards. Like they want this, they want gifts, they want this, they want that. And I'm like, why are you shopping for a Ferrari when you can only afford a Honda? I know of tons of women that are poor that would love to marry you. Okay, this was a Pakistani guy. And I'm like, but do you go in those slums looking for those girls? No, you don't go looking for those girls. You go looking for the girls that are high maintenance, that are out of your reach. Go for the ones that are there. Women are there, but men are still manipulating women. Like the same things that I keep hearing from women over and over again. Men are still not serious. They're not serious. They're not. You keep saying it. Where are these serious men? They're cheating. The biggest thing we saw was those two couples cheating. Look at that CEO. He was still cheating. And I mean, both of them, I would say, are rotten human beings for cheating. Both of them, men and that woman. But no, men have to step up. They really do.
Okay. It's interesting because when I look at this, and you can tell me how you feel about this, but when I look at the different duties of men and women in society, I think that they actually do have separate duties, men and women. And just for the men, for example, our duty is to protect and uphold society. So we're in charge of procuring resources. We're in charge of building things. We're in charge of distributing resources. And we're also in charge of protecting the nation. If you look at the nations that we exist in, Canada, United States, Australia, they're largely pretty safe nations. And that's because the men are doing their duty in protecting the nation. If you look at all the infrastructure, if you just go to your toilet and you press the button, it doesn't just go push and just sort of disappear into thin air. There's like a whole plumbing system that's going to be built by men. And then under the roads, there's going to be sewage systems, and there's going to be sort of different, all of these different pieces of infrastructure that keep the society going as you know it. You click the button on the remote and your air conditioning comes on and you're not hot anymore. These sorts of things. So all of these are actually the duties of men to uphold society. What are the duties of women, and are they actually upholding their duties?
Women are the ones that are holding this whole society together. We are taking care of your kids. Men don't take care of their kids. You guys don't take care of, you're out there working. Women are now working and taking care of the kids, right? So if we stop taking care of the kids, you're already screaming because we're not having kids. But yes, this is why we're not having kids, because all the burden, we're the only parent. Even if you're married, you're the only parent that has to do everything: cook, clean, child appointments, everything. The father just comes at the end of the day, oh, hi, how was your day? And this and this. And that's it. That's the fatherly duty that he has to do. So do you understand where all this is coming from? I hope that.
Yeah. Well, I mean, just with that, we can go there if you'd like. I mean, so essentially, what you're saying is that it is actually an affront to women to have to work and be able and be a parent at the same time. So to do all the parent duties and to have to work a full-time job, that's too much for women to actually take on board, and you feel like they're overburdened.
It can be, but it's not that it's not manageable. I manage as a single mother, actually.
But it's not ideal.
But it might not be ideal, but life's not ideal, right? You get married and your husband dies. Like a lot of these men used to go, you were just talking about, to the war, and they died. Then what? The woman had to survive on her own, right?
Let me just paint you a little hypothetical, okay?
Yeah.
Just say there was a mystical fairyland out there where, generally speaking, women weren't going into higher education. They were focusing more on purely family duties, and they weren't having sex outside of marriage, and they were waiting until marriage. So therefore, all of these gross, disgusting men that you're speaking about couldn't go and get the milk for free. They had to buy the whole cow. So then what they did was they waited until marriage, they got married, and then the man would provide, and the woman would stay home and do the domestic duties, and she would also have time to paint pictures and draw things and plant some things in the flower bed or whatever else she wanted to do. Maybe she wanted to have a business that was operating at a loss. Who knows? But say in this mystical fairyland that existed and the women weren't overburdened with working and they actually had a reliable partner, do you think that would be something that would be positive?
No, see, you're not understanding. It's about the choice. If a woman wants to do that, have somebody there to provide for her, that's fine. But women, I know in a lot of cases, they will take the harder road. They'll be like, we'll work, we'll take care of our kids, but we don't want to deal with this toxicity. We don't want to deal with this abuse, the violence. We will do hard work, but we will be at peace with it. You know, do you understand?
So they'd rather be
that's
single
why,
mothers.
yeah, they can be single mothers. Why
They'd
not?
rather.
Not? Why can't they be single mothers? If
No,
a
I'm
woman
saying so
that is
they
getting
would rather be single mothers.
yeah, if you're getting
But
abused
better.
every day and beaten and you might get killed one day.
So
don't
that's
you
the
think that
norm, you're
woman should
saying?
leave him?
That's the norm, you're saying? You're
Well,
saying
yeah,
the normal experience.
60% of domestic violence is by men and they're married.
No, I'm saying this is the normal experience. So you're saying that you're more likely, if you're getting married, you're actually better off being a single mom, because if you go and get married to a man, you're likely to get killed.
You probably are. Yeah.
Whoa,
You probably are
okay.
likely to get killed. And not only that, you have to do the labor. It's like, honestly speaking, I know what the problem is. The problem is that women are in 2025, whereas men refuse to come to 2025. They still want to live in the 1920s. They do, right? They don't want to move forward. So we're not your mommies anymore. We're not going to cook and clean and do all that. Even if I'm staying home, the fact that you were like, oh, you can paint this and that. No, things have to get done at the house. You don't have time to go around and paint. And then second, he was like, a business that's probably failing. Why? Do you know how many women entrepreneurs are there that have successful businesses? But the fact that you think as women, we're always going to fail, right? That's just your mindset, because you always think women are less than you. Okay, the infrastructure that you talked about, yes, I will give it to you. Men had created all those things. Sorry, one last point. Created all those things, and I totally get it, because they were the only one getting education. If women were getting educated, now you can see women are in all kinds of different professions out there. Third, lastly, I want to say you keep bringing this protection. Who do I need protection from? Men.
On the last point, you did mention on the last point that was your last point. So before we get to the last point, I just want to give Jake a chance to respond as well.
Well, I mean, I just find this, and I want everybody who's listening to really take a note of what you're hearing right now. And I know that a lot of you guys would have actually, you would have internalized this by now, but what she's arguing for is a single mother society here. She's arguing for the destruction of the nuclear family. She's arguing for the dismantling of the nuclear family. She's gone and watched Thelma and Louise, and she's watched some old Hollywood movies about the wives popping Valiums and sniffing and smoking cigarettes and being miserable, the feminist propaganda. And she's now saying that you're better off as a woman to be a single mother. We know that if kids are single mothers, they're much more likely to be criminals. They're much more likely to live in poverty. It's a much more dangerous society. Single mother households, the kids are much more likely to be abused by the partners that come in. But that's all okay. And the reason why that is all okay is because she watched Thelma and Louise, and she thinks that women are more likely to get abused than not, and that is the best thing, because women should be terrified of men because men are evil. Just to let everybody know, that's what's happening in this debate.
I think it's just because men now go on podcasts and everybody's listening to podcasts. So they think that any woman that's going to come here is just like by propaganda, only watches things on feminism and this and this. It's not propaganda. It's my lived experience. Believe me, I came from that place where I was not able to breathe, right? So when I come here and I hear from men that no, you shouldn't be wearing this. You should be wearing this, because that makes you look like a slut and a prostitute. And you're going to be called as such, right? God forbid you go have an unprotected sex or out of the bed, and you're going to be shamed. You're a prostitute. Men can do it. That is fine. Men have always done it. Even before, when they were in marriages, they were still going outside and having sex with other women. Men have always done it. So I don't know why you keep saying that I don't know. You just keep pushing words in my mouth and just telling your audience, oh, look at this. And I have no propaganda. You're the one doing the propaganda to the audience right there, telling them, oh, look, she wants a single mother. I never said that I want a single motherhood, but I want an alive mother. I don't want a dead mother. I want those kids to have a mother. Okay. And the trauma. He wants a woman to stay in a relationship where the guy is physically abusive, mentally abusive. A lot of you men are coming there with your childhood mommy issues. And we're not your mommies. We're not. We have kids. We're their mommies, right? Then again, him and another person that had told me that, there's always a risk from men that will come and sexually abuse the kids. And another person that Andrew, that I was talking, he's a step parent himself. Not all men do that, but it is the men that do it. Again, it's your gender that is a problem. There you go. You admit it with me. So I'm not advocating for a single motherhood, but I am saying that you're alive, and if you have an abusive and toxic partner, leave.
By your own logic, I could just say, well, not all men are going to do that.
But only men will do it.
But the exception doesn't make. It doesn't even make sense because you're actually just wrong about that. But you have to understand, guys, when you're talking to somebody and when you're having a debate with somebody, if you make a statement and then they say, yeah, but not all, that is actually somebody who doesn't really understand basic logic and how to engage in a debate in a really basic way. So yeah, I'm not going to use that. But just to zoom in on what you said before, you are advocating that women are better off having children and breaking up their families. You are advocating for a single mother society. Go and look at Black America and see how it's going for them. Okay, go and look at the African Americans and see how it's going for them. There's an abundance of evidence for this. Kids from single mother households are even more likely to be gay. Okay, they're even more likely to be gay. Okay, there's a correlation there. They're making gays. Okay, so anyways, kids from single mother households, they're more likely to be violent criminals, gays. Okay, they're more likely to live in poverty and all of these things. You can look at African Americans. They had 25% single motherhood rate in the 1950s and the 60s. Or the 40s, sorry, and then now they're up to 75%. And look at those communities, how it's going. It's not good.
Yeah, but you have to understand, those are the African Americans. They're very violent people. Their parent partners are very violent. Lots of abuse. Now, people listen to what Jake is saying. Jake is saying that I am saying, and he totally refuted my point. I am saying that if you have an abusive partner that is physically hitting you every day, a toxic partner that is always verbally abusing you, or just sucking the energy out of you, which is not only bad for you, it is also bad for your kids. He's okay with a man coming and slapping you here and there a little bit in front of the kids. He's okay with kids seeing that trauma. He's okay with that, rather than you taking them out of that toxic environment. And that not even physically, even the fighting, the bickering, the screaming, I watch a lot of serial killers and stuff, and a lot of these serial killers come from both parents' home. And the fact that if they were gay, do you understand being gay? I don't get it. How you don't understand? Gay is a choice. No. I'm sorry, a man has a penis and it gets erected when it is attracted to something. So if it is not attracting, it's not getting up looking at a female, it is getting up with a male. You can't control that. There's no control over it, who you get sexually aroused by. I'm sure you have a preference in women. You might like white, beautiful, blonde hair, blue eyes women, right? You are only sexually aroused by them, whereas you're not aroused by a Black woman, right? So now, should I force you to go sleep with the Black woman because you're not aroused by it? Same thing with gays. You can't say that, they're born gay and these women are turning them gay.
Okay.
That's such a stupid argument.
Let's hear more about Jake's sexual preferences. Do you like Black women, Jake? Do they arouse you?
Look, they say the blacker the berry, the sweeter the juice. I say the blacker the berry, the less my kids look like me. So not necessarily. So I'm more into the Mediterranean sort of looking girls myself, actually. So like Italians, Greeks, Spanish, that sort of thing. So yeah, you were wrong about that. I don't like the blonde hair, blue eyes as much, although I was just giving an example. Yeah, I can deal with it if it comes my way. But anyways, Mahleej, I would love to know, what percentage of women do you think are actually being murdered by their husbands?
A huge percentage.
In the United States. What percentage?
I don't know. I don't know the number. I can Google it.
You had to give it like a rough estimate. What would you say? Just a rough estimate.
I don't know. 60%.
So you think 60% of women in the United States are being murdered by their husbands?
Yeah, that's the last time I checked. That was the number. Yeah.
Okay, cool. I'm just going to leave it at that for the chat to decipher.
Wait, to be clear, I think that Mahleej, you're saying, do I understand right? Just because I think there's a miscommunication, I could be wrong. I think you're saying that of the women who get murdered, 60% of the time it's their husband, not that 60% of American women get murdered by their husband, right?
Yes.
Okay.
If you
What?
have 100 women and they were murdered, 60% of the time it is the person in house. Same thing with kids. When they are molested, is most of the time molestation is done by somebody that they know in their house or relatives. It's somebody that they know. It's 40% of these strangers that we need to worry about.
All right, but if you said, so if you had 100 women who got married, just 100 random women getting married, how many of them do you think would get killed by their husbands?
I don't know. Even if one gets killed, that's too many.
But I would agree with you. But how many do you think it is per 100? How many do you think
I
would
don't
get
know.
killed?
I can't give
Per
you a
100
number on
marriages.
top
If
of
you
my
had to guess,
head.
though, I'm saying because you seem to have this idea that women are more unsafe getting married. You've said this, so you've advocated for women to not get married for this matter. So you must
No, I'm
know.
not.
You
I've
must
never said that
know.
women shouldn't get married. If somebody wants to get married, I am no one to tell them not to get married. It's
You
their
said that it's
choice.
unsafe for them.
It is unsafe because in studies show, again, I'm going to tell you, studies show that 60%, okay, are the ones that have been killed by their husband, family member, father, brother, uncle. It's the men of the family. Okay. Do you
Okay.
understand that or no?
So just bear with me here, okay? So just say out of 20 million, 10 women were murdered, okay? And 6 of them were by their husband. Just say that was the case. Would you still advocate, based upon those numbers, for women to not get married because of those 10?
First of all, I never advocated for women to not get married. It is a choice. Feminism doesn't say, oh, you shouldn't get married. I don't say it. Yeah, you shouldn't get married. I have never come across any feminist that's told me, oh, Molly, you should never get married. No. If you find somebody and you want to get married, you want to be a stay-at-home mom, no worries. Do ahead. Go ahead and do it. But the problem is with you guys. You want us to only do that and push that on us. Some women don't want to get married. Some women don't want to have kids. Some women want a career. That is a choice that we want, and we should have that choice, right? We shouldn't be forced to have kids. Imagine a woman that is forced to have kids. You think she's going to provide, she's going to take care of those kids because she was forced into that?
That was your prescription before. You said that there should be baby factories, not me. But anyways,
well, no, baby factories are the ones.
It's my turn to speak, Mahleej. You can actually speak. You can speak next. I'm just going to say what I was going to say. The Violence Policy Center estimates that only 0.84 women out of every 100,000 who are married are murdered by their husband in the United States. 0.84 out of 100,000 in the United States. And you're advocating that it's such a danger that women should not get married.
It is a danger. No, I never said that women shouldn't get married. So don't
keep
putting words in my mouth. No, I did not say that women should not get married. They have a choice if they want to get married. But yeah, more likely your husband will kill you.
So you're saying that it's better that women do get married and keep their families together. You're saying that the nuclear family is a good thing.
If you have a husband that is not beating you up and is contributing and is loving, yeah, no problem. But if you have an abusive partner that is going to kill you, toxic, then you should better off alone for you and for your child.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. Maybe there's somebody else debating here that's arguing that if a man is beating his wife and going to kill her, that she should stay with him. Maybe there's somebody else who's arguing for that. It's not me, and I don't know who. Maybe James. James, is that something that you're arguing for? I don't think I've heard you take that position.
No, you are. Who has said that? I never took the position to say you shouldn't get married if the man was there, if you have a good man and he's taking care of you and everything. And there is good men out there. They don't talk in these talking points though, that you have been talking about though.
Yeah, well, I mean, you're much more likely to be abused if it's somebody who is not you're not married to. So if it's like a boyfriend or something like that. Yeah, you're much more likely to get abused by a boyfriend. Yeah.
No. Well, even then, even if you're getting abused by a boyfriend, it's men, right?
Yeah, but I'm saying that I'm saying that the nuclear family, having a husband and children, is the safest place that a woman can be. You're arguing to dismantle that. So you're arguing to put women in perilous situations. And actually, ultimately, we've actually established here that you're arguing that Canada eventually becomes Pakistan. So all of these things that you're arguing for about women being in extremely unsafe situations where they can get stoned to death, Fatima can get stoned to death because she was SA'd by a guy, you're arguing to bring that to Canada. And I know that you think you're not directly arguing for it, But if the entailment of your argument, if the logical conclusion of your argument is that, then you're arguing for that, whether you like it or not. And actually, if I didn't know any better, and if I just had to have an objective assessment of you, I would think that you are potentially Pakistani intelligence, and you are potentially actually a subversive who is coming to Canada and who is actually subverting the Canadian political system to try and have all of your cousins from Pakistan coming in and marrying each other and coming into Canada and actually subverting the legal system and having it become Pakistan. And I'm actually suspicious now.
Oh my God, I love it when men can't answer my logical point. So they have to go on to character assassination. Well, thank you so much. Because you know what? So far, I was always being called the raw agent, the Jew agent. Now I'm an ISI agent. Thank you so much. You know, I can't even go to Pakistan because as soon as I get on the plane, because I've committed so much blasphemy, I will be arrested. This is the thing. This guy will say anything. I am promoting stoning of women, like to the extreme, without any evidence, without anything. Oh my God, like just going to the extreme. This is the thing. When you give them a logical argument, all he can do is put tags on me. Oh, she's an ISI agent. She just wants to make Canada into Pakistan. No, I don't. No, I don't. You want to bring those Pakistani values. A woman should be in. This is a whole thing that the family nuclear woman is better at home. You're only made to have kids. Your only purpose is to serve men. That's what you're talking about. And that's what those Pakistani men talk about. And I don't want that in Canada. I want women to have a choice. You want to get married? Go ahead, get married. You want to be a single mother because he's abusive? That's your choice. If you want to have an education, have a career, that's also your choice. I believe in choices. You don't. You want all the women in a line just to listen to what you got to say. And I'm totally against that. And that is the Pakistan that I'm talking about. They want the same thing.
And that will be Canada. If you keep on going and voting the way that you're going, Canada will become Pakistan. But look, I will admit that I did mess up that in one sense that I did. You shouldn't be putting the words Pakistan and intelligence in the same sentence. I understand that. But anyways, James, I think we've pretty much beaten this horse to death. I'm happy to get into some closings if you want to. And I think Mahleej doesn't have too much more time. So we should probably get into some super chats and stuff as well.
We should rock and roll into the next section. Would you guys like 2-minute closings to draw together the threads from this debate?
Sure.
Two sounds good? Let's do it. We'll go first with Mahleej, a.k.a. Molly. The floor is all yours for your 2-minute closing.
Well, first of all, thank you so much for having this debate. Thanks, Jake, for taking all this time. I really enjoyed it. And like I said, there was a lot of things thrown at me that I totally don't agree with. If anybody was to go do a little research about what kind of ideas I want to bring into Canada, I do not want Canada to turn into a Pakistan. I want Pakistan to turn more like a Canada, right? I want secularism up there. We believe in those values. I was told that, oh, I am against marriage. No, I'm not against marriage. I am for choice. You want to get married? Yes, you can get married. Nobody's stopping you. You can be a stay-at-home mom, but also let the other woman that is working give her the same respect. She should have the same respect, even if you are a prostitute, because prostitution is a very important business, right? And that stops a lot of men from going around and committing a lot of crime, and they have needs. So we shouldn't be just going around and, diminishing all those. And that's what I'm going to say, that society in 2025 is a lot better because we have feminism, because we treat women as human beings now. And some people have problem with that. And because women are actually exceeding and doing better than men, some men cannot handle it. They obviously are feeling left behind. So my whole suggestion would be that men need to catch up with us, because we are in 2025. Stop living in 1920. This dream that, oh, we're going to get the whole 1920s back. No, we're not going back. And besides from just blaming feminism, maybe it's time to look into other factors that are contributing into the male loneliness. The fact that there's so much hatred online for women, like threats and rape threats and, oh, we're going to kill you and all that. That's only going to make it worse, not better. And especially these manosphere men that are projecting. I never watched Thelma and Louise, but I bet you all these men that are there, they're only listening to propaganda, and they're only forming their opinions from propaganda, listening to men, all these manosphere men. I don't have to go listen to any feminist talk or anything like that. I didn't even prepare for this debate. I talk from my experience, what I have seen in life, and what I see in Canada. So that's what I would have
And
like to say. Thank
time.
you so much.
Kick it over to Jake for his 2 minutes as well. Thank you very much.
Yeah, thank you very much for coming out, Mahleej. I appreciate it. You were definitely a good sport, and it was a fun debate. But you actually just did say that you didn't even prepare for the debate. You just basically went off your feelings, which is exactly why women should not vote. They should not be able to vote just off of their feelings. That's actually ridiculous. Nobody wants that. That's not a logical way to actually live your life. Therefore, her voting rights should be rescinded. Anyways, she says, and this is another thing, she actually can't logically think through her position. So she says to me that she doesn't advocate for any of these positions to bring Islam to Pakistan, and she would rather have Pakistan become more secular. Well, Pakistan isn't going to become more secular, and the reason why is because the women can't rise up and get their rights because, well, the men have a monopoly on force, and the women just aren't able to do that. But they're trapped in a dilemma that they actually can't get out of. And it's the same with the British feminists. They will say, well, we love these liberal values, we love these secular values, and we want to keep them here. However, the women will vote liberal. The liberals will bring in the immigrants in en masse. The women will advocate for open border policies, all of these empathetic policies, and they will say, we stand with these people. Now, you may not directly want this necessarily, but you're voting for the politicians and you're bringing about the societal conditions for this to actually happen. So, therefore, you and all of your liberal friends and all of these feminists are bringing about the end of feminism. It is an ideology that inevitably eats itself because you don't have any kids. Most of you are reproductive dead ends, all of these feminists, and you bring in all of these third world immigrants that will eventually destroy the societies that you actually want to preserve. So therefore, it's not that you necessarily argue for it, but it's the logical entailment of your worldview. And this is why, particularly with these sorts of like feminist women, they're so short-sighted that they can only see what's right in front of their face and they don't look bigger picture. And they don't think about tradition, the things of the past that have actually worked, and they don't look at the future and the actual entailments of their worldview. And this is why they just get absolutely crushed in these debates time and time again. So with that, we can get into the next part.
Thank you very much for your closings, folks. I want to do a couple of quick housekeeping things. First, folks, if you have been living in a cave on Mars with your fingers in your ears and you haven't heard, DebateCon 6 is going to be November 15th and 16th. This debate conference is going to have people such as Jake here in the debate tonight from Rattlesnake TV. He will be going against Planet Peterson. You don't want to miss these debates. That's DebateCon 6. It is linked in the description box, and it's pinned at the top of the live chat here at the Modern Day Debate live chat right now. Folks, come on out. It's going to be a fun time. It's not just the debates, but you can come out, hang out with the speakers, get to meet them in person, ask them questions, give them a high five. It'll be a good time. But with that, we're going to jump into the Q&A. Thanks very much for your questions, folks. We've got a lot of juicy ones here. We're going to move fast. First, Lord Geotron says, Lord Jake, you already won. Don't let her talk. Wow. Don't worry. We love you, Mahleej, a.k.a. Molly.
Sounds like somebody from Pakistan.
Wow. Is that we are so grateful, Mahleej, that you and Jake are doing this debate. We do want to be very clear that folks, I know that it's fun to throw your poop at the debaters in the live chat. I get it, especially Jake. Look at him there. His little self-satisfied smile is that I know that sometimes it's fun to talk trash. But, both of our guests are linked in the description. We love our guests. We really do. So we appreciate that they will come out in the hot seat. This one from Issa Kabir. But don't worry, there's much more abuse coming for you, Mahleej. Issa says, for both of you, how do you define feminism?
Yeah, I'd say a system that is moving towards egalitarianism and that seeks to dismantle patriarchal structures.
What do you think, Molly?
I think for me, it's basically giving women rights as a human being. Simple rights to breed, to educate, to live, to vote on their own terms.
Thank you very much. This one coming in from Trumpinator. Says, feminism and women's rights is the reason why women aren't having kids. Job comes before the family.
Thanks for the statement.
So
Lord Giatron says, Mahleej, you're not smarter than men. Wow. But to be fair, you don't think that you're smarter than all men, just some.
yeah, no, anybody that just thinks they're opposite, the other person is stupider than them, you're already stupid. You're always going to lose that. But according to Islam, women are born with half a brain. So
Wow.
I guess, are you
No
Muslim or
way.
you're from Pakistan? I guess all these comments are coming from Pakistan.
Does Islam really teach in the Quran that
I
women
don't
have
think
half a
any of
brain?
them are
Yeah,
coming
it
from
says
Pakistan
women have
because
half a brain. Women, yeah, it's in Islam that you have a half a brain. It's because you have a deficiency in your brain. That's why if you have a one man, you need two women witnesses for one man because we have a deficiency in our brain.
I mean, I didn't think that they got anything right, but clearly they get some things right. But,
Yeah,
but nobody from
deficiency-
Pakistan, nobody from Pakistan is actually in the comments because they're actually able to string a sentence together, so it can't be.
So even with that deficiency in our brain, they still want us to raise kids, though. They're like, no, only you should be raising kids with that half a brain.
Juicy to say the least. I do appreciate this. All right. Trumpinator says she doesn't value men because of feminism. Mahleej, is this true?
Do you value yourself? I think men don't value themselves. They're not feeling valued. He said it himself. They're feeling lonely. They don't feel that they're on the same, and I totally get it. I totally get it because I've dated men that don't make as much money. I'm more successful. I have more my own house, and they're not at the same level at the same age. And I can see how they can get intimidated. And yeah.
You got it. This one coming in from Trumpinator Strikes Again says, women need to go back to being barefoot and in the kitchen, and that's the bottom line. Wow. I think they're trying to troll you, Mahleej.
I think he's speaking from a cave.
Wow.
Darling.
This one from Bite Me XD says, lady, I hope, but you do a good job, Mahleej. I know I'm defending Mahleej a lot. And the reason is, you can never let them know that they're getting to you. And you do a good job of taking all the poop being thrown at you. Bite Me XD.
You don't understand the trolling that I've received for over 15 years. This is nothing new.
All right.
So
Well, then we're gonna become much worse then. Here we go. Bite Me XD says, lady, do whatever you want. As a man, don't let a man hold you back. Do whatever you want and how you want. We only want to hold you back for power. Be free, enjoy liberty, and live your best life.
Well, thank you. I do.
Red Fox says, if men are the problem, then why do studies show figures closer to 40 to 44% of lesbian women experiencing physical violence, rape, or stalking by an intimate partner? Not one step back.
Raped by women?
I think they're saying that a lot of these girl-on-girl relationships have a lot of abuse. Like way more than, I think they're saying...
It can't be way more because there is more heterosexual couples. So still, men will take the lead.
You're reaching for the lowest of low fruit on that. But the point is, let's say that it's 44%, as they say, or even 40% of lesbian so-called marriages, whatever you want to call it, have violence or rape, etc. It's kind of a good chunk, right? 40%. So I think they're saying, hey, like if the problem is really men, like why is it that there's such a huge percentage? Because that's way more than I would have expected.
Because it also in lesbians, there's one woman that is going to pretend to be the man. So she has to be that masculine energy. She gets into it. And those masculine traits, I guess, includes violence, right? So again, it is manly to be violent. And then when they turn into this, there's a man and a chick, right? Even in those relationships. So yeah, that's a manly trait that they portray because they're very masculine and they want to keep that. So that's the only answer I can give you for that.
You got it. This one coming in from, do appreciate it. Daniel O'Brien says, Mahleej has a Muslim OnlyFans. Wow. Wow. Daniel O'Brien
I'm non-Muslim. I'm an ex-Muslim. I left that religion a long time ago, but I do teach Islam In a way, if you want to say, I troll Islam on OnlyFans.
This one from Daniel O'Brien. Oh, that's right, because that's kind of like a kink, isn't it? Like, no woman wears the what's the hat called? The hadith? No, not the hadith.
Hijab.
Hijab. Thank you.
Yeah, I also have another brand coming that says I love haram, everything haram. So that also goes on there. I love everything haram.
That must be what they mean by Muslim OnlyFans. Oh, okay. Like you're trolling. Okay. Thank you, Daniel O'Brien says for James. Appreciate you, Daniel O'Brien. Serving Christ says, Mahleej, as a society, why not encourage women to marry and have children in their 20s and a career in their 30s if they so desire? Why push career first and risk involuntary childlessness?
Why don't you say that to men? Like, I don't understand. No, because it's your years, those younger years is where you need to go and study. You can have children. Like, people are having kids in their 30s now. There's no problem in having kids in their 30s, but you need to have that education. God forbid that marriage doesn't work out, right? And even now, men have problem giving, half of their, because women will take half of their money. So they don't want you to have anything. You're going to be left with zero. Okay. And with a child, probably to take care of 100%. So you need to have that backup. You need to have some sort of education, or you're going to be going prostituting yourself, because that's the only thing that's going to be left for you to do. So, yes, you should have kids younger. But honestly speaking, I had my kid when I was almost 30. And I don't think I would have been able to focus on my studies if I had a child at 19, 20, and then starting a career. No, have your education and then you can have kids.
You got it. And thank you very much for your super chat. Marilyn, appreciate that. My sugar mama, Red Fox Mahleej, what is your ideal utopia and how would you maintain order? Hashtag force doctrine.
I live in utopia. I live in Canada. I think this is one country that has given me all the freedom to be whatever I am. It gives me the freedom that I can sit here, openly criticize different ideologies, especially being Islam and Pakistan. And I'm a biggest critic of them. This is utopia for me because I know what hell looks like. I lived in there.
You got it. And let me see if we've got any last ones that have come in here. But I do want to say, folks, as I load the page, don't forget, DebateCon 6, Nashville, Tennessee. Folks, we have a lot of time. Flights are still very affordable. Come to Nashville, November 15th. Meet Jake. Meet Andrew Wilson. Meet Apostate Prophet. The whole gang. Rachel Wilson as well. Come hang out with us. It's going to be an amazing time. That link for the tickets for DebateCon 6 in Nashville is linked at the top of the chat right now. It's also in the description box. That's here at Modern Day Debate. You don't want to miss it, folks. It is going to be an amazing conference. In the first 10 days, we had, compared to all the other past conferences, including our last one, which is a huge step up, we had 50% more signups in the first 10 days compared to all other conferences in their first 10 days. Like, this one is going to blow the roof off. We did have a couple questions that just came in as I was giving that plug. Male presenting Time Lord said, if men are really as violent as you say, Mahleej, if we collectively decide to abolish your right to vote, how would you defend yourself?
So you're going to come and I don't know how you're going to do that, like abolish my right to vote. And then what happens? Because I have a property, I pay taxes. You can't just go on one day and be like, oh yeah, I'm going to abolish everything. No, then if you're doing that, then you're going to have to take it from men too. We'll see when we get there what we're going to do. But I don't think you can just get up and be like, oh yeah, you can't vote. No.
What was the question, James? Sorry.
Read one more time. They said, if men are really as violent as you say, if we collectively decide to abolish your right to vote, Mahleej, how would you defend yourself?
So you couldn't defend yourself is the answer?
Defend myself in what way? From men?
So yeah, if we collectively got together tomorrow and said, Mahleej, no more vote for you, what are you going to do about it?
And men are trying to kill me, and how would I defend myself? Is that what it is?
No, I'm just saying, how would you, if we said no vote, how would you go about
We're going to go
defending
through the
yourself against
democratic
that.
system. We're going to protest. We're going to raise our voice, and that's how we're going to do it. We're not going to go and kill people, But yeah, if how am I going to protect myself if somebody was trying to kill me?
No. I'm saying, how would you protect
your?
let's say, how would you protect your vote? You're going to go into the democratic system and you're going to try and appeal to the enforcement arm of the government, which is a bunch of men in military suits. But all of those men also don't want you to vote. They said no, but women wanted to vote, but men collectively got together and said, what are you actually going to do about it?
Yeah, well, then means that we're just going to go back to the old ages, right? So I don't know what I'm going to do at that time. We'll think about it when we get there, but you can do that. But the thing is, the only way you guys can do it is to force people, which I think morally, ethically is wrong, that you're going to take away somebody's vote that is contributing towards your economy. I don't think it's possible, first of all. And like I said, there is going to be a lot of riots. There's going to be a lot of angry women out there.
Oh, angry women. Gosh, what are we? Not angry women. Wow, what are they gonna do about it? A bunch of angry women. Gosh,
well, you're already pissed off at them.
There's a lot of them already. A lot of angry women already, and it doesn't really.
I know, but it doesn't matter, right? What can we do? We're just angry women, so I don't know why it bothers you men so much if we can't do anything.
Well, I mean, if the votes were taken away and you guys were all just sort of screaming into a void, then that wouldn't bother me. But that's just not the case at the moment. You guys all can vote, which is a bit more of a bothersome sort of thing.
Yeah.
This one from Reliance says, Mahleej, should we not use smoke detectors because 1% of the time they fail?
No, nobody said that. And like I said, I never said that don't get married. It's just Jake keeps saying that I said that. No, get married. Because you're programmed, right? You're programmed that unless you're married and have kids, you have no value to you. So get married if you want to. But my whole thing is don't stay in a toxic relationship, in an abusive relationship. We would rather have you as a single mother alive than a dead mother. Those kids need you.
Yeah, I mean, nobody ever said to stay in a toxic and abusive relationship. Once again, that no one has ever argued that. So you're arguing against a figment of your imagination at this point. You're arguing against Abdul from Pakistan, and Abdul actually isn't here. You're not arguing against Abdul here. You're arguing against a different person, and that person hasn't argued for that. Just to let you
Abdul
know.
also says that I shouldn't vote, and then he will come up there.
That's based.
Abdul is based. Divorce.
Like Abdul is correct
about that. Then comes she shouldn't be able to divorce, and there comes your thing, right? So it doesn't just stop at voting. Then it's going to be like you can't work, you can't get education, you can't divorce. Going back to the 1920s, where you want us in the like the guy said, in the house, in the kitchen, bare feet. Pregnant.
I mean, for an inbred guy who's married to his cousin, that's actually a pretty bloody good point by Abdul to not let you vote. But yes, I mean, 1920s, 30s, 40s, 50s, back when the family was strong and back when communities were strong and all these sorts of things. I think it wasn't the worst time to be alive.
This one from Even Lord says, all the women in Iceland went on strike and the economy wasn't affected. Let's see, is this a bad word? Is Dalit, D-A-L-I-T?
Dalit, that's an Indian. That's Indian. Like, see, you guys are so ignorant. You don't even know what Dalit and what I am from. He's saying I'm Muslim. He's saying that I want to bring Islam here. Now he's bringing Indian Dalits into it. What does that have to do with me?
They don't
bring the mortal enemy. Don't bring up the mortal enemy, India, guys. Far out.
No, I love India. I'm not their enemy.
They don't know that Mahleej is Pakistani. And I'm not trying to brag, but I have to say it because Mahleej won't say it herself. But it's a pretty cool, a former Miss Pakistan, I might add, which is pretty...
Not much competition.
Not too bad. This one coming in from, they say, the crazy feminist with white fever. Let's see. Big ups, Lord Jake. Let's see. Now, what does white fever mean? Does that mean you prefer the company of white men?
Who?
For Mahleej.
Well, not Jake, hopefully.
For me?
You. Is that what
Do
white
I like
fever?
white men?
No, they said white fever. You have white fever. Does that mean that you like white men?
Yeah, I've dated white men. Actually, I have mostly dated white men because I found the white men were more open-minded. I've dated two. I've had a relationship with two white men, and the first one was amazing, awesome. And the last one that I dated, that's where I got introduced to this manosphere, and I was like, whoa, because white men never used to be like that, but it's changing.
Okay.
Yep, they won't be white for long in Canada.
You mean like why?
Oh, I mean,
Well, there was
because look at
natives
the
here
look at
before the whites
demographics.
came, right? So you can't be all white always anyways. There's
Well, I mean,
natives that
I
were
bet
here
you're not
before
dating. I
you.
bet you're not dating the natives.
No, I could if I wanted to.
Yeah, but you're not, are
Why
you?
not?
So
I have
you're
dated
not though.
Asian. Why not? I don't discriminate.
And where's that Asian now? But hey, where's that Asian
Where's
now?
that white guy now?
You're still dreaming about him. You just said how great he was.
Sorry?
You're
The
still
first
dreaming
guy,
about him.
he was a
You're
great
still
guy. I
fawning
mean,
over him.
he didn't beat me. He wasn't toxic. He didn't call me names. He was a great guy in that way. Things didn't work out.
And
That's
that's
fine.
what white guys do. But you want to destroy our
No,
society.
they don't.
Anyways.
Because the last one that I saw, I told him he should move to Pakistan with his thinking. Because I told him to convert to Islam with his thinking. He should definitely go there.
Now, okay, so now that we've established white fever, what that means, let's move on to the next question. I didn't know that was like a phrase, but
A lot of white men have brown fever. You know what they say?
I don't. Are you like? Don't get
Once you
cocky.
go,
We're going to the
once
next
you
one.
go brown, all the other colors let you down. So white men love me.
Wow. How do you like that, Jake? This one from Reliant says, Mahleej, the reason your prescriptions are flawed is because they just boil down to do whatever you want, while Jake promotes a stable society.
Jake wants Sharia law. He doesn't want women getting higher education. He doesn't want them to vote. He wants them home, bare feet, pregnant in the kitchen. That's what those men want. You guys want to go into 1920s. Like, I don't want to be in the 1920s. I want to be in 2025.
This one from
Allahu Akbar.
Even Lord says, James, great to see you. Thank you for your kind words, Even Lord. I appreciate that. And looking for any last questions here. Just we're going to put a new poll in the chat as well. So we just put one poll. Did you hit like? And you can respond yes, and it pleased me, or I forgot, but I'm crushing it now. We're going to put up a poll right now for our dear friends Jake and Mahleej. We're putting whose arguments.
James, while that's happening, I'm going to quickly go to the toilet. I really need to be. I'll be back.
No problemo. Whose arguments were most persuasive tonight? And you get to pick from Jake, of course, or Mahleej. That is in the live chat at Modern Day Debate as we're streaming right now. If you're watching on Facebook or X, we're at Modern Day Debate at YouTube. That's the main hub. And you can vote on that poll right now. And then right above that poll is the link for DebateCon 6 tickets. You don't want to miss this conference, folks, for real. As you can see at the bottom right of your screen, it is packed with talent. Andrew Wilson, Rachel Wilson, Daniel Hakikachu, Richard Carrier, Apostate Prophet, and, of course, Jake from Rattlesnake TV will be there debating, throwing it down, and then afterwards having a good time. You know, getting to meet people, getting to jive and hang out. This is like, how's your day going? And getting to spend time with people and have a good laugh. It'll be a good time. This one from The Young Finesser says, thank you very much for your question. Says, so you want secularism for Canada, Mahleej?
I want secularism in Canada. We are already secular. What is that question?
I can only wonder what they mean by, if they mean like...
And these are the people calling me names? Like...
Whoa, Mahleej, so sassy.
You can't even put together a stupid comment. God.
Oh, Mahleej just smacking him down. But I do want to say, folks, that poll is in the live chat right now. Is whose arguments were most persuasive tonight? You can vote right now. And then right above that is the link for DebateCon 6. Come on out, hang out with us, have a good time, have a bite to eat, enjoy the debates, and get to ask Jake questions like, what's your favorite color? It'll be a good time. Vile Van Gogh says, do you think your own personal experience in Pakistan could have given you a false belief in regards to the likelihood of men in the West abusing or leaving their wives?
No. Actually, I would have not even. I most of the time that I spoke about feminism and all that stuff after I did Miss Pakistan, I always targeted my community. It was brown men, Pakistani men. I didn't, because for me, Canada was perfect, and it is to the most part. It's in 2023 when I started dating this white man that chased me for so long, and then he introduced me to this manosphere, Andrew Tate and stuff, and I'm like, really? I'm like, white men are like this? Because I never came across white men that were like that. They were very nice. They weren't like, oh, you shouldn't vote. You only belongs there. They didn't judge like the way, but this one man was. So I've seen that shift that happened in the society now. And I see it more and more happening. And I will speak up about it because I know that system. I have left that system. Those men want the same thing. Like you guys are, and I bet religion is a big part of it, right? When it comes to religion, God wants you to stay home, make babies, and just serve men.
Yeah, they always talk about this naked and barefoot in the kitchen sort of stuff. It's like, who the hell wears shoes in the kitchen anyway? That's always something that I wonder. Like, who wears shoes around their kitchen and gets all the germs from outside in the kitchen? And also naked, it's like, how else do you want your woman to be walking around the kitchen? I don't want her wearing clothes or anything like that. It just seems absurd to me that anybody would argue against that. But anyways,
you fry
beside
bacon
the point.
naked? Have you ever fried bacon naked?
Fried bacon? No, that's why they wear one of those cute aprons.
Oh, okay. What
You know
about
what
kids?
I'm talking about,
Where
Mahleej.
are
You
your
know what I'm
kids?
talking about. You have to take the feminist
if
position, but you know that it's
if your
cute when they're
woman is
naked in the kitchen.
I will never step into the kitchen naked because I know the consequences of that. Where are your kids when you're frying all this bacon naked?
I don't cook.
Oh, you don't cook. You have a slave. Okay, I
Yeah.
forgot.
All right, we're going to the next question. You guys are weird. Okay, so this question was, I appreciate you. Thank you very much. Felipe Rodriguez says the key to Jake not being a himbo is to debate a bimbo. Did you know maggots turn into flies? I don't even know who this is supposed to insult. Both of you or just one of you?
James, what did you know that a maggot turns into a fly?
Yeah, I'd heard.
Oh, well, the super chatter should have just asked the question rather than telling the answer.
This is weird.
Well, there are smart people in the comments, right? So
Wow, listen to Mahleej just mock the live chat. Here's the live chat. Look, here's William Morlock. He says, working out, great. I don't know what he's talking about, but he's like, welcome, William. Ignore her. Is maggots like some sort of feminist reference?
who
Yeah,
knows?
we'll just move past it. It's a long story.
Now, folks, both of our... Oh, just got another question. Thank you very much for your question. Male presenting says the West is the product of thousands of years of Christian patriarchal values that are in line with Jake's arguments. Is there a difference between the West pre-1920 and the Middle East?
I think the West evolved when they took out basically religion out of their systems, right? So you guys did have Christianity, but you did take it out. Yeah, no, you don't have Christianity. It's a secular system. Yeah, I guess. So
At what point was it taken out? When did you get rid of the Christianity?
Well, Christianity is not in your system, is it?
Yeah, but like, tell me what the moment was when it left.
Do you make laws according to your religion, or you're making laws according to a secular system?
Why don't you answer the question instead of asking me a question? I'm happy to answer your question after. But at what point did the Christianity evaporate from the system?
I don't know. Back in the days. Yeah.
Okay, back in the day.
But right now, do you have systems like in Pakistan? Sharia law has to be involved into making laws, right? Yes. I don't think there is any Christian law body that tells Canadian people, okay, this is the law. It's a secular system, so we are all equal and we're all treated as humans.
Yeah, I mean, like, where do you think the Americans get their, like the Americans or the Canadians, for example, where do you think that they get their ideas of human rights from?
From the secular people, from the smart people, from the great thinkers that were there that came up with.
Who are they? Who are the great thinkers? Tell me.
They were probably at some point Christians, but a lot of them actually had left the religion. No, a lot of them actually left the religion
Okay.
They were secular. So that's why
Sure.
they went against the teaching of Christianity and gave women rights.
You mean all the founders and these sorts of people?
Sorry?
All the founders and these people, founders of the countries?
I'm guessing, yeah, they're the ones
Okay.
that gave them people right? Like freedom of speech and all that
It's
stuff. Yeah.
it's quite a statement to make when you literally have no idea what you're talking about.
This one from
They were not secular. They didn't have secular mindsets. They didn't have secular mindsets. Do you think they went with
Who are you
Christianity?
talking about? Who are you talking about?
Whoever made the
Whoever.
change.
Okay. Yep.
Whoever made the change. Whoever made the change, did
Yep.
they go against Christian values when they gave rights to women and all this human rights and stuff? Did they go against Christianity or no?
Well, no, because in my reading of history, it was actually the Cookie Monster, and the Cookie Monster was an avowed Christian, and he made the rules.
this one coming in
Okay.
from Cool V1C says Jake said he doesn't cook, but he clearly cooked in this debate. W Jake, thanks for your super chat. And want to say, folks, we are very grateful for our speakers. We're going to let them go. As I promised, 2 hours, and we're actually over time. So I do want to let them go. Want to say huge thank you to Mahleej and Jake. We do appreciate them. Folks, thanks for being with us tonight. It's been a big, beautiful debate. Mahleej and Jake, thank you for being with us.
Thank you so much.
Appreciate it. Thank you very much, guys. Take care.
My pleasure. And folks, if there are any remainder super chats that people stick into the live chat in the last second, I'll read them once I come back, but I do want to let our guests go. So I'll be back in just a moment. Stick around, folks, and check out this juicy DebateCon 6 poster.
Yeah. I'm not dying. Get out of here.
Amazing. Folks, thanks so much for being here. It is a very exciting time. So a couple of things. One, if you, as I had mentioned, had not already heard, how have you not heard about DebateCon 6? You guys, I got to tell you, this is going to be huge. In the first 10 days, compared to all other conferences, even the second best conference in terms of opening 10 days, this one has had more 50% more signups in the first 10 days compared to any other conference in the past, including, not trying to, I'm just saying, last conference, DebateCon 5, we had booked Alex O'Connor, David Wood, Andrew Wilson as well. We had booked a stellar lineup as well, but this one, it just keeps getting bigger and more epic as 50% more signups in the first 10 days with, I would say in terms of Jake from Rattlesnake TV is one of the bigger content creators we've ever had at one of these conferences. In fact, I think in terms of following, Jake has got an extraordinary influence. Not only is his YouTube large, also his Facebook, his Instagram, is that Jake is one of the bigger content creators we've ever had at one of these conferences. So we're thrilled to have Jake because he's a, one, stellar debater, but equally is that he's a cool person. So as I've gotten to know Jake, the truth is, I was kind of at first like, I was like, what do I think about Jake? And I was kind of like, is he cool? You know, I was like trying to feel him out. Or like, is he maybe like, you know, an aggressive, you know, kind of a defector type? But he's actually one of the cooler people where I'm like, I told him the other day, I was like, bro, we should like hang out and talk at DebateCon because we probably have like so many common interests, like so many things that we both enjoy and agree on. And long story short, I'm thrilled to have Jake there among others such as Andrew and Rachel Wilson, who Modern Day Debate has developed a close relationship with. As I got to have breakfast with Andrew just about a month ago, not even. It was just earlier this month. It was August 9th. I think it was a Saturday. We went out to breakfast. It was a small group of us. Rob Noor was there as well, and it was a great time. That's so much of what these conferences are. Is we used to say like, oh, it's watch the debates, it's going to be amazing, and it is going to be amazing. These debates are seriously, it is, the energy in the room at some of these debates is off the walls to where you'll see, like, if you experience it, you will be like, wow. But that's only part of it, because getting to actually meet the people and hang out with them, get to ask them questions, more than just what's your favorite color, but to really get to connect with people, tell jokes, laugh, have good food, good drinks, whatever it is that you like. Maybe you're just like, it's like, I'm pure conversationalist, whatever you like. But I got to tell you, it's going to be a blast. Seriously, we are just super thankful that this conference is, what's the word I'm looking for? Off to an amazing start. Like I said, right now, I'm like, just, this is going to be huge. This conference is going to blow the roof off of every other conference that we've ever had. I'm just so grateful. Like, I'm like, wow, I'm just so excited that we are throwing such a huge event. But want to say hello to you there in the old live chat. I'm going to be at the conference as well. I'd love to get to meet you because, folks, I get to engage with you through the live chat. And that's cool, but it's not super, what's the word I'm looking for? It can be even more personal. And that's why we encourage you, folks, like, come on out, hang out in person. It's a lot of fun. Is Emperor Fat Ass Dogs, thanks for your super chat, said, when are you guys coming to Detroit? Let's see. We do plan on having one in Chicago, probably in May. So keep an eye out for that. We're figuring out if that would be DebateCon 7 or if we're going to just kind of give it its own name, like Modern Day Debate live and in person. We've done one of those before. So yeah, keep an eye out because we're kind of thinking like probably May. But yeah, we do want to say thank you for coming by. I see you there in the old live chat is first. Adir Est Fasir. Am I saying it right? Thank you for coming by. I see you there. It says looking forward to it. And we are looking forward to it as well. J. Roman 1089, thank you for coming by. Black Snowflake, happy to have you. Nub Stacks, happy to have you here. J. Roman, we see. Zand, happy to have you here. Chaos Confessional, thank you for coming by. Says, it's happening on my birthday. I'll be there in spirit. Oh, wow. Norek, happy to have you with us. I see you there in the old live chat. And let me see here. I know we had a super chat come in last minute. They said, Mahleej, let's see. Basically, Six-Pack Chad disagreed with Mahleej and said they vehemently disagreed with Mahleej. But I want to say thank you for your super chat. Thank you for all of our guests. They're what make this channel awesome. If it was just me debating myself every night, it'd be the worst channel on YouTube. But instead, we are so excited that Modern Day Debate has been growing and growing, just continually. The momentum keeps moving forward. We're excited about that because our goal is to provide a fully neutral debate platform so that everybody gets their chance to make their case on a level playing field. We believe that YouTube deserves a better class of debate channel, and we're going to give it to them. We really do want to give everybody their fair shot. Their views may be controversial, no doubt about it. We've had a lot of controversial views on Modern Day Debate. We've had some pretty wild, goofy ones. I got to tell you, we are so excited about the future. We want to say thank you for your support of it. Norek says, James, I will be there with Brian and Travis. Hey, I'm glad that you will. We are excited. Want to say thank you for your support. Now, Just Ash, I see there in the live chat. I know that you were offended when I told you that you were white knighting and that she would not sleep with you, even though you were white knighting really hard for her. And I know that's hard to hear that she won't sleep with you, no matter how hard you white knight. But I got to say, so they say, stop lying. No, I'm telling you the truth. She's not going to sleep with you. The point is this. Is a lot of people will say like, oh, they said this, it's inappropriate. We do have moderators in chat that are looking for things that are inappropriate. So like, obviously, I think everybody knows you can't use slurs like YouTube anything that's against you terms of service, like we don't allow it. So but in terms of like, there are going to be people that will like throw their poop at the debaters, and it's like, listen, I know, Mahleej. I think it's almost patronizing. Be like, oh, I'm going to stand up for Mahleej. Is that, like, don't you think Mahleej is strong enough to take that on her own? I don't know. It doesn't seem like you're making her look weak if you're like, yeah, I'm going to stand up for. Is that people say a lot in live chat, and the fact that you've never called out when people say that stuff about men, but you do for Mahleej, kind of telling. Because that's the thing. It's like, oh, okay, well, isn't your whole like thing about where you're like, oh, that's sexism? Is that like you're like kind of discriminating among the sexes? You're treating them differently. But you know, if you let the live chats throw their poop at the male debaters, as they do. I mean, I've been here for 7 years watching it, and it's pretty bad sometimes. I would say much worse than anything I saw about Mahleej, and I've seen some really bad stuff. Is that it's like, well, but you know, if we're gonna let that fly, and especially when you don't say anything bad about that, then okay, then why would he be like, oh, but you can't do it about if it's a woman though, then you can't. It's like, sounds just kind of like, okay, isn't that exactly what people like you criticize? But yeah, we want to say thank you for being here. And yeah, there may be people who will threaten the conference. There probably will be. Like, I know that last conference, some people were like, hey, like Alex O'Connor backed out. He was afraid the Muslims were going to get him. They didn't. No Muslims came out that day to the conference to do anything to hurt anybody. We take it seriously in terms of the safety of the conference. We've done, this is like I think it's our 7th or 8th, because we've done more than just DebateCon. We did like Modern Day Debate live and in person. We take it very seriously. And if whoever it was, whether it be a Muslim or otherwise, came and tried to hurt somebody, and like, oh, James, like, what happens if that does happen? Well, they get lead poisoning. That's what happens. We've got armed people there that are going to take care of it. Is that we're not going to let people like shut down our free speech of being able to have these debates between Christians and Muslims and everybody else if they threaten something like that. Is that this conference, nothing stops this train. We are blessed that this conference is happening, and that's by God's grace. And so you're hearing from me personally, because you guys know that I'm a Christian, that I'm a theist, and I don't bring it up often. It is you guys probably know anyway from the description box. So I know if that offends you, that I do give thanks to God for that, then it's like, well, you know, at least I'm being myself, even if you don't like it. It's not like I'm like proclaiming Christianity over modern day debate. Is that we want to give everybody a fair shot. We want to give the Muslims a chance. We want to give the atheists a chance. We want to give the Christians a chance. Everybody gets their fair shot to make their case on a level playing field. I'm going to let you go, but I do want to say, yes, Modern Day Debate, DebateCon 6, November 15th and 16th. That tickets link is linked at the top of the live chat. You don't want to miss out on this conference. It's going to be an amazing time. We're going to have a great list of debates that are just going to be off the walls, high energy. And we're also going to be having a great time just enjoying each other's company, good food, good drinks. If you're into that kind of thing, that's an option in the tickets you can see, as well as an amazing after party that Andrew Wilson is hosting. So that's going to be epic. You don't want to miss out. That's going to be in Nashville, just across the street, as I've heard it from Andrew. But do want to say, hey, we're excited about it. Thank you for all your love and support. And we will see you at the next one. Keep sifting out the reasonable from the unreasonable, folks.